proud upload today for the 29th of January is with regard to recovery. Um, so basically, my recovery began in 2006. It's now 2020. I was very young when I found recovery, and recovery was actually looking for me a little bit earlier than when I commenced. And like all individuals in similar circumstances, um, it can't be forced. Um, it can't be, it's recovery is when it finds you, it finds you, and basically, it's not easy, but it's worth it. So basically, my recovery journey started in 2006, and since that recovery commenced, um, there's been many positive developments and discoveries. So these progressive developments for me as an adult have helped in many ways um, with regards to maturation. And maturing as an adult isn't always easy, and it's variable for all citizens or individuals um, pertaining to their circumstances and backgrounds, and everyone's background is different. But the benefits of recovery are indescribable, and the differences that recovery makes to an individual's progress and development are more than worth it. Um, Prior to my recovery in 2006, um, I wasn't a bad person, but an emotionally immature person. And considering my circumstances and considering my experiences and considering factors that I had to confront and reconcile for myself as a young adult back in 2006. Um, you know, the outcomes have been fruitful, but it hasn't been easy. Recovery isn't easy, and it's a personal experience, and it's a personal journey that no one else could ever um, carry out for an individual. Um, the concept is to address one's weaknesses and to confront um, one's possible strengths and whatnot. Um, it's basically learning to find oneself and learning to know oneself. And some people aren't comfortable with themselves, and they're not comfortable with other people's progress. And since 2006, my journey to recovery has served me very well. And the emotional sobriety, the mental sobriety, and the just the sanity and sobriety of recovery and maturation and whatnot is priceless. And the relevance of this for me to be discussing in this upload regards the issue of spirituality, and that's a personal issue, but a relevant issue for me in this matter that I'm experiencing, as it is yet another violation that has occurred. Um, there have been, as I've described, unethical means of attaining information. There have been breaches of confidentiality, and all of this has involved the other serious matters that have occurred that were quite shocking for any individual to experience. especially after becoming a new mother, and especially, um, you know, in a vendetta such as what has been perpetrated. Um, so the issues of other people violating any person's faith or spirituality um, is offensive, and it's disrespectful to have that kind of you know perspective that by hook or by crook, not only to violate a person's dwelling and privacy and private work and whatnot, but to also violate a person's spirituality, you know, isn't isn't very respectful at all. And that is just another concern I have about all of this with regards to recovery, and especially the sanity and sobriety that's required in recovery also. Um, so the issues that have occurred that have involved every right of the Human Rights Declaration being violated in my personal circumstance um, is quite a lot to process. And this is also raising another matter of how offensive it is for individuals that have not been invited into my experience and that are not welcome in my experience and that are professional and that have disrespected my recovery and my progress. And there isn't any one of us perfect. And as they say, judge not lest you be judged. And the beauty of recovery is that it teaches um, the individual to amend their ways and to rectify wrongdoings. And as far as I'm concerned, I've been doing that since 2006. But as I said, there's this issue of the violation with regard to obtaining information unethically. And there seems to be a sense of judge and jury and executor in these circumstances. And my attitude with regard to that is that, judge not lest you be judged. There isn't a single person that I've encountered along the way since prior to my recovery and since my recovery in 2006 that is unscathed or unblemished in their standards of propriety and honesty. And it's not only offensive, but it's very intrusive. And the means by which people are judging and casting aspersions and making assumptions are based on, as far as I'm concerned, very highly unethical means. And the main perspective that I would have about such um, matters would be to, live and let live. And that doesn't seem to be practiced, unfortunately. People seem to be thinking they're in control of a situation that they're not in control of at all. And, you know, we're in control of very little. And there are people trying to control a situation um, and causing very serious harm um, that, you know, has repercussions for everyone. So basically, um, the individuals that I've encountered that have decided to defame and damage a reputation and a character and good name um, have obviously not seen the error of their ways from past experiences and past lessons that could have been huge teaching experiences. But what the main and most relevant point I'm going to share in this upload is that I have a clean conscience and there are people violating my privacy and that have intruded upon me and that have diagnosed falsely and that have made outrageously false claims about me, um, from a perspective of harm and maliciousness and malice. And that isn't helpful for anyone. Um, in an evolved society, in a progressive society, in any sort of a spiritual society, for such circumstances that are occurring, um, I worry about the sanity and sobriety of society. Um, there is no one with an unblemished past. There is no one perfect. And people pointing the finger, he who casts the first stone, etc., um, you know, works both ways. It could be more harmful to be throwing the stones and pointing the finger than pointing the finger back at oneself and wondering how shameful was my behaviour in the past. What dangerous lies did I tell that I didn't rectify? What did I take that wasn't mine and I didn't replace? Those kind of things. And that's only my perspective of myself prior to 2006. Um, and up to now, I can say I have a clean conscience. So I'm just wondering, in the past 2 years, even in the past 3 years, I'm just wondering how spiritualized, how evolved are people actually that haven't been pointing the finger back at themselves and looking at the error of their ways, and that have continued and persisted to perpetrate wrongdoings and have continued to intrude, etc. So we all make mistakes, and you know, some things are better put to rest when dealt with and amended and rectified. But there's some people that just can't move on and grow up, and I feel sorry for those people because the dredging up of dirt and trying to cause further harm than has already been caused is a very serious malaise, not only of the mind but of spirituality in society as well, because we can all throw dirt and we can all point the finger, but how mature is it of individuals to be causing the problems that have been caused so far in society, not only with regard to what happened over a decade ago that hasn't been dealt with, obviously, by those that have still been causing me these problems, um, but also, and more seriously so, with regard to what's been happening most recently. So that little this upload, um, is basically surrounding the issue of recovery and my journey on recovery since 2006, and people casting aspersions and not looking at their own wrongdoings, and professionals imposing that have no business being around my personal life or involving themselves in my personal life, and that aren't qualified to be misdiagnosing and not qualified to be, you know, in any way, you know. So, anyway, there are professionals being unethical, and there are issues that aren't being addressed, and there's been harm caused, and those people, that's their business. And that's just, you know, for them to confront when they're able or capable of doing so. Um, but as regards my own personal well-being and my personal sobriety, that's my experience, and those imposing and violating a person's privacy and faith or spirituality, um, you know, all very serious with regards to human rights violations. And as regards, you know, unethical means of attaining information and violations of bodily integrity or whatever, all of those kind of matters all come with a heavy burden. And basically, um, from a spiritual perspective, um, everyone has their own journey in life, everyone has their own purpose, and those choosing to disrupt the harmony and direction of another person's purpose and trying to exploit another person's purpose um, after very serious violations um, is not a very sober, sane approach to spirituality and society. So that's as much as I'll say about that. But there's obviously much more that could be said. But as regards those on the path to recovery, I wish them well. And I hope everyone's going to be able to mind their own business. And I hope people are going to be able to stop causing problems. And I hope people will stop causing disruption in what was a good, honest, respectable society and still is, except for a few wrongdoings that need to be addressed. And as regards amends, um, I hope there are individuals with the courage to make the amends that I am due and unashamedly uh, say so because the suffering and loss and damage that has been caused to me um, is indescribable. So that's my little upload about faith and recovery. And my faith and spirituality isn't anyone else's business. And there isn't anyone in any position to impose their faith or spirituality upon me. So it's a difficult issue. It's a difficult topic to express carefully and respectfully because we all have our own perspective and stance with regards to this kind of a matter. But with regards to violations, there's a human rights declaration um, for the European Union, and that respects each individual citizen's right to have their personal spiritual faith and spiritual identity respected. And when that's not respected, um, it's very serious. So that's my third upload for today, and I hope everyone is thinking carefully about how serious it is with the violations that are being perpetrated. And as regards defamation of me and the deception in society and the exploitation of my work and my research and my progress, and as regards the unethical means of attaining information and damaging my human rights, I wonder would they have a conscience?